we're back for part 8. Not quite as upsetting as part 7. I've calmed down a little bit, ready to do part 8 for you guys. So part 8 is about how we were put onto the streets. Now this seems to be a regular occurrence throughout these part 1s, part 2s, so don't be shocked. I know it's my own stupidity, but I had met my partner and I was living in a flat. I had this gorgeous dog I'd rescued. He was called Bruno. I'd rescued him at the age of 7 and he was now, what, 8, and to be honest, he was my life. And when my partner stayed around a few nights when we first met and Bruno bonded with him, I knew he was the one. So, and he's who I'm still with today, all them years ago in 2013. And now my rental property was coming up, it was the 6-month mark. I had to take on a new tenancy, and my parents, who had also recently sacked me and left me in a really bad situation, offered me to go work for them again, offered my partner a job who was doing cash in hand horrible work, and to also allow us to move into one of their properties, which had a nice garden for Bruno. They really sold it to me, and I was stupid, I got sucked in, and yeah, so started working for them. The accommodation was knocked off my wage and my partner's wage. Everything was happy, everything was going great. And then we found out that my partner's mum was in a spot of trouble with her boyfriend, and she needed somewhere to stay. So we obviously let her into our home because we had three bedrooms and the place had plenty of room for her, and she's family. I didn't see the issue. Now, I mentioned this in casual conversation up the horses with my mum, and it was an issue with her. She wanted rent out of her. I said, look, we already pay rent. We pay all the bills on the property. Okay, I'll go to the council then. She told me to go to the council and get lodger's allowance, so we did. But the council said, we can't give you lodger's allowance without a tenancy agreement to show that you're the tenant in the property lodging out this room. So I went back to my parents and said, look, I need a tenancy agreement. They said, no, you don't, you're family. I said, well, regardless, if you want this money, considering my partner's mum isn't working, she's suffering with depression because of this breakup, and she's struggling at the moment, you're going to have to give me a tenancy agreement. I mean, what does it matter anyway? It's something that protects you, protects me. It's a standard thing. Anyway, all I got was, how dare you fucking question us? Your dad has a law degree, he fucking knows the law, and your tenancy is all tied in with your employment. So basically, you only have a tenancy if you're employed. So it's okay, that's fine. Well, give me a tied-in tenancy agreement then. She says, no, I'm not fucking doing that because you're family. I'm like, look, well, what am I? Am I a member of staff living in one of your properties, or am I family? Or anyway, I didn't get this tenancy. So obviously, the money wasn't going to come flowing in because we weren't paid enough, because the amount we had taken off us for accommodation, we couldn't front up the put up the costs to pay extra rent. So we were told, get the fuck out of our house, you have 1 week. And I said, 1 week? I'm sorry, that's impossible. I've got 2 dogs. This is just ridiculous. And they then came back and said, look, we're going to be kind and give you 6 weeks. So I went on the hunt and managed to find a private landlord. He lived in Cyprus. We viewed the house. There was damp, the boiler was knackered, but at the end of the day, he was giving us a property when we had 2 dogs. The only thing was, one stipulation was that we'd have to give 3 months rent up front, purely because we had dogs, and one of them being a staffy, and they weren't very well liked at the time. They had a bad reputation. So yeah, we had to sell our vehicle, which was what was potentially going to be getting me to work, because obviously I'd just been sacked and needed to find a new job. But we had to sell that in order to move into this property. So it came to week 6. So we told them on week 5, look, we're moving out in the next 10 to 14 days. Week 6 came and the police were at the door. Yeah, telling us our rights and how we don't basically have any and we need to get out. And I pleaded with them, and they did have sympathy towards us and said, look, at the end of the day, this is a family argument. We don't want to get involved, but we would suggest just getting out the property because it's clearly not a healthy situation for you to be in. So we did move, and we ended up actually falling out with my partner's mum because she didn't want to move with us. She felt like my parents had basically put her on the streets when she needed help and she was suffering mentally, and she'd rather sofa surf with friends than be safe in a property, and it just caused absolute uproar across families. So I think this is just a lesson to you. Do not allow a narcissist to play a story or tell you a story that sounds amazing, because you will give in to temptation because they make it sound so fantastic. Don't allow them to take control of both your finances and your accommodation, because when things go wrong or they get questioned, the first thing they will do is put you on your arse, and entertains them. They didn't care. All they said was, you've got a bloke, your man needs to sort it. You've always sorted your shit out in the past, you can sort your shit out now. And that was it. So yeah, that's that finished, and I will be moving on to part 8, 9 in the next day or so for you guys. But yeah, be careful, don't let a narcissist manipulate you in any way.